Desertification is nothing like the pre-existing deserts of our planet, which consist of diverse dryland ecosystems and countless species. Desertification is a destructive process where a fertile land filled with vegetation and its own specific diverse wildlife converts into a barren land, which is similar to a desert. As global temperatures rise and the human population expands, more of the planet is vulnerable to desertification, the permanent degradation of land that was once arable. The United Nations, which has been fighting desertification since 1994, defines desertification as the persistent degradation in drylands. That is, a degradation which is not temporary and not occasional in areas with low or variable rainfall, that causing a permanent inability for the land to retain water or regrow plants. Fertile areas have become increasingly arid and no longer cultivable. Productivity is lost, and the entire ecosystem is compromised. In addition, due to the aridity of the soil, many areas of the earth are gradually becoming inhospitable for many species, including humans. This is termed as habitat destruction. What are the causes of desertification? Desertification of drylands is a natural process, but in recent times, a variety of factors related to human activities are driving the transformation of drylands into desert on an unprecedented scale around the world. Climate change. Climate change has accelerated dramatically in the last 2 centuries due to our heavy use of fossil fuels and the resulting emissions of CO2 and other heat-retaining gases into the atmosphere, which are responsible for global warming. Increasing temperatures change soil properties and processes like organic matter decomposition, nutrient systems, and soil water systems, thus causing a loss of vegetation. Degraded lands do not have plants to store water in them, or even to preserve groundwater. Evaporation of water vapor, transpiration, cannot occur as there is no storage of water, and without evaporation, there is no water to form clouds. Because of lower rainfall, the soil becomes arid and the land enters a state of drought. Overgrazing. Overgrazing is a phenomenon linked to population growth, the increasing demand for meat, and therefore the need to dedicate larger and larger areas to livestock farming. But bad livestock practices severely damage the land. Cattle feed on grass and vegetation, constantly trample the soil, and step on vegetation, thus preventing the regeneration and regrowth of that vegetation. Deforestation. Trees and other forms of vegetation are vital in protecting the soil and evaporating water into the atmosphere to generate rain. Vegetation also prevents climatic change and global warming, soil erosion and loss of fertility, otherwise known as dryland degradation. Forests are being chopped down at an alarming rate, leading to massive desertification in various regions of the planet. Agricultural techniques. Demographic increase in the world population and the consequent increasing demand for food have led to overexploitation of the soil. Agriculture, extensive cultivation, and monoculture farming have greatly damaged soil health. By depleting nutrients in the soil, it becomes poorer and more arid. In addition, improper land management, not rotating crops, and the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides can result in complete destruction of our fertile land in just a few years. Irrigation also contributes to a process of desertification. By increasing soil salinity, irrigation makes crop growth more difficult, further exacerbating soil degradation. Tourism and urbanization. To make way for big cities, skyscrapers, holiday spots, and tourist attractions, forests have been cleared out. In turn, we start looking for natural resources in other forests. By extracting products from tropical rainforests, we are making that area a target for desertification. Housing and, more commonly, commercial projects are now built on fertile soil once used for agricultural practices. Increasingly large portions of fertile land around the world have become arid, concrete-covered areas with no vegetation on them. Drylands, that is, lands subject to desertification, are more than 40% of the Earth's surface. More than 75% of Earth's land area is already degraded. Every year, a process of soil degradation occurs on 4.18 million square kilometers of land, that is, half of the size of the European Union. More than 90% of the land on our planet could become degraded by 2050. These drylands are home to over a third of the entire human population. According to the World Health Organization, about 2.6 billion people worldwide are exposed to drought and desertification. Droughts are increasing in more than 70% of the world's countries. The highest negative values are recorded in West African countries, first of all Egypt, in the Middle East, especially Jordan, Israel, and Libya, while in Europe the most problematic situations are to be found in the Mediterranean region and in particular in Spain. Out of 193 states in the world, more than 100 countries are at risk of desertification. There are only 52 states where the figure is positive, and these are mostly small islands home to a very small portion of the world's population. Due to climate change, deforestation, desertification, and habitat destruction, around 50 living species disappear every day. In 40 years, we have destroyed 60% of the planet's wildlife. This suggests that we are facing a greater extinction of species than the Earth has experienced in the last 65 million years, even greater than that which marked the end of dinosaurs. What is the impact of desertification on agriculture? Almost 40% of the Earth's surface is subject to agricultural and livestock activities, that is, 4.4 billion hectares, 146 times the size of Italy. But in the last 40 years, 30% of all arable land has been lost, becoming unproductive. Every year, 12 million hectares of fertile land, an area 3 times the size of Switzerland, are turned into desert. Drought and desertification cause the loss of 120,000 square kilometers of land every year, that is 23 hectares per minute, where 20 million tons of cereals could potentially be cultivated. 150 million hectares, that is 1.5 million square kilometers of agricultural land, an area equivalent to the entire arable land of India, will be lost by 2050. Every year, the Earth loses an agricultural area the size of Italy. Worldwide, 2.6 billion people are directly dependent on agriculture, but 52% of agricultural land is already partly degraded. Soil degradation is already affecting 1 billion people. What are the effects of desertification? Loss of vegetation. Because of reduced rainfall, vegetation does not grow on arid and dry soil. In addition, since there are no plant roots to absorb water, rain on barren land washes off the topsoil layer, thus further impeding plant growth. Overgrazing and improper agriculture help to speed up this process and further damages to both soil and vegetation. Loss of fertile soil. The process of desertification completely removes the top layer, which is the most fertile part of soil, rich in nutrients and minerals like phosphorus and nitrates that are necessary for plant growth. Since the topsoil is also essential in absorbing water through rainfall, the soil loses its ability to produce high-yield crops, with catastrophic damages to agriculture. As a consequence, in order to provide food for the world's growing population, overexploitation of the land in agriculture becomes necessary, as well as the use of chemical fertilizers, which in turn make the soil poorer and increasingly arid. Vulnerability to natural disasters. If there are no plants to absorb water, stabilize the soil through the roots, and prevent runoff and erosion, lands become vulnerable to flooding. Aridity and drought also increase the frequency and extent of fires in ever larger areas of the planet. But fires are often deliberately set by farmers to create new land for agriculture or livestock breeding, to replace land that is no longer fertile and arable because of desertification. Another effect of desertification is water and air pollution. Plants have various functions in an ecosystem. They not only absorb carbon dioxide in the process of photosynthesis, they also act as filters, reducing the number of pollutants in water. Socio-economic effects. As desertification makes the land no more fertile, increasingly vast areas of the planet are unable to produce an adequate amount of necessary crops and food, leading to famine, poverty, conflicts, and even civil wars in the poorest countries. Extinction of species. Desertification and consequent habitat degradation do not give the opportunity for many species to adapt to the process. Native species living in their native, comfortable environment are introduced to a new environment, which does not have trees, plants, vegetation, and fertile soil for animals to live, eat, and reproduce. A recent United Nations report on biodiversity found that around 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, many within decades, more than even before in human history. Migrations. Ongoing desertification threatens the world's poorest populations. As the land loses its fertility, it becomes useless. It is unable to support crops and provide food for humans. This leads to humans migrating away from that area and forever abandoning it. 23.9 million people had to migrate in 2019 due to climate change-related disasters. Forecasts in the International Organization for Migration report, Migration and Climate Change, speak of 216 million climate migrants and refugees by 2050.